I'm wondering if you could comment on what you see going forward if we continue vaccinating the most high risk and elderly with regard to death rates versus the case rates. Are we going to see a much lower death rate overall with continuing, relatively high case numbers? And does that communicate your message about vaccination if the death rates decline? It's a great thing, of course, but I wonder what kind of world we're going to see going forward with as more people get vaccinated. Thanks.
Why don't we start with Dr. Walensky and then Dr. Fauci?
Yeah, it's an important question for us to consider. I think one thing we have to realize is that there's still a death rate among people who are under the age of 65, and that death rate is certainly going to be consistent with the number of cases we have overall. So while I consider it extraordinarily good news that our death rate is declining, those who have been vaccinated, there is still a death rate among those who are over, 25 over 20. And, as those cases continue to increase in that demographic, we will see death rates in that demographic as well. So I think the messaging is very consistent. We still need to be vaccinating everyone who is eligible.
Dr. Fauci, anything you'd add?
No, just to underscore what Dr. Walensky said, every time we look at data, it looks at when you're dealing with severe outcomes, hospitalizations, and death, the vaccines, all of them have a very good track record. So as Dr. Walensky said, that just underscores the importance of getting everybody vaccinated as quickly as we possibly can.
Great. Thank you. Next question.
Next, we'll go to Tom Howell at the Washington Times.
Hey, thanks for doing the call. With the AstraZeneca news and also robust data from Novavax, it looks like both of them might get emergency approval by May. I'm just wondering how you're thinking about that in terms of supplies, the challenge shifting now to what to do with any surplus, how to maintain interest in the shots here at home. How are you kind of working through, whether we're going to have more supply than we need and what the challenges are now? Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. So first of all, I'll start and then see if Dr. Fauci, you want to add something. So I think it's too early for us to declare that we're in a surplus position. We have been carefully planning. We have obviously the highest priority is to, as Dr. Fauci just said, to vaccinate the U.S. public as quickly as possible. So, but obviously, the more we get confidence in our increased supply, the more flexibility that gives us for different events down the road, whether it's vaccinating adolescents, whether it is sharing that supply with other countries, as we announced at the end of last week. 4 million doses were just shared with Mexico and Canada, or whether it's other events. So we are obviously monitoring the scenarios very closely and tracking these closely. Obviously, it is great news for both the U.S. and the world, the more vaccines and the more supply that exists. Dr. Fauci, anything you'd add?
No, actually, Andy, you said it very well. I just want to underscore one aspect of it, which was on one of the slides that I mentioned, that there are very many countries in Europe and throughout the world who have already authorized this. So the fact that a United States-run study has confirmed the efficacy and the safety of this vaccine, I think, is an important contribution to global health in general. Stop there.
Yeah, and something that Dr. Fauci, you may want to, both of us would say is, it's important to just remind everyone, we cannot and will not get ahead of the FDA. The FDA has incredibly rigorous scientific process, and so while we would certainly call today's news encouraging, it's the kind of thing we like to see. We have a rigorous process that will come once an EUA is submitted, and that will give us all more information and reason to be comfortable. Next question.
Let's go to Jeremy Diamond at CNN.
Hey, thanks for doing the briefing as always. First of all, I'm wondering, we've been between 54 and 58,000 new daily cases over the last 2 weeks. You guys are warning about the potential risks in that. What more are you doing to encourage states to maintain or reimpose coronavirus restrictions rather than relaxing them as so many are? And then secondly, do you still expect Johnson & Johnson to deliver 20 million doses by the end of the month, which is just a week away now? Thanks.
So Dr. Walensky, would you like to take the first question about the kind of flattening of case rates and things that we can be doing as a country?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. You know, we are looking at these data. We're reaching out to individual states, trying to encourage them. We are having weekly governors' calls. We're doing outreach with states, territories to encourage them to look at their case data, to look at what's happening with the variants, and to do as much outreach as we can to try and to slow down the relaxation.
Yeah, and obviously you've heard the president say, and you've heard both Dr. Fauci and Dr. Walensky say that we believe it's a mistake to get rid of mask mandates. Obviously, governors have certain authority there, but so do corporations, so do employers, so do individuals. And we're making concerted efforts to make sure that people know that whether or not there's a mandate in place, it's in people's strong interest to continue to wear a mask until such time as people have had a chance to be vaccinated. On your Johnson & Johnson question, we're obviously working very closely with the company. We are going to see a nice increase in Johnson & Johnson this week, and we should have more information, you know, around the first week in April to report on how they've done. Obviously, they've got a lot of increases that they need to be committed to doing. So we'll continue to keep everyone posted.